Let's tackle it together.
Let's do. We're buddies. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's
We're friends.
do it like friends.
This is friendship. Yeah.
I like it.
Why don't you take the first couple?
I would love to.
Yeah.
So, if we are trying to optimize our intake of protein, say we're doing something like squat cycle, we're going to do something like functional bodybuilding, we're going through a clean cycle in class, doing a significant amount of heavy lifting, and one of our goals is to build absolute strength, maybe to lose fat, gain muscle, those things. Things that broadly apply to almost everybody who's coming into the gym. We need to look first, other than trying hard at those things, we need to look at how much protein we're taking in. The trouble is, it can be difficult to hit our daily protein number with whole food. It is possible, but it can be difficult on a day-to-day basis. And the name of the game with regard to intake of these things is consistency. It's not do it for a day and then not do it for 3 days and then, oh yeah, then I'll do it a couple more. I'll eat 3 hamburgers and that probably covers me. Like, that's not how it works. You need to do it every day, basically all the time. So, protein supplements can be a way to kind of fill in that last 5 or 10 or 15% gap. The most common one is whey protein. Now, a couple things with this. Obviously, it's coming from animals. It's dairy-based. There are different kinds of whey protein, and what I would caution you to do is read your labels. Okay, so Andy alluded to this earlier. Within the supplementation industry, there is no guideline. So you can effectively do whatever you want. You can put whatever you want in it. That's just how it works. So you need to be smarter than they are because they're going to try to trick you. So what you need to look for is whey protein isolate. So if you're going to write anything down, write down whey protein isolate. What we do not want to consume, if we can help it, is whey protein concentrate. Because concentrate can have kind of a little bit of don't worry about it mixed in there, and it's not that big of a deal. So that real delicious protein shake that you have that like tastes just like cookies, make sure it isn't whey protein concentrate, because you're not really doing yourself any favors with regard to that.
That's a great way to say it. With that, I want you guys to think of this as like the king. The whey protein will be the king of proteins when we're choosing. So there's a lot of different ones available. Going into casein next. So any Game of Thrones fans here? Yeah. Right? We talked about it earlier. So casein, I dubbed the crow in the Night's Watch. Right? This is going to be taking care of us while we're sleeping, while we are resting and recovering. So again, very animal-based. So if you are avoiding animal products, not a choice for you. But what it does is it is a slow-release protein. So during that long period of time that we are sleeping, it is still digesting and processing that can help us essentially rebuild overnight, getting our body working for us while we're sleeping. So this is where the true research has been done with casein and where the benefit is. So if you are pairing these two together, often people will use whey peri-workout, either before or after. And then again, if they're still working to meet their protein goals, having a casein shake towards the end of the day. Yes?
Can I add to that?
Go.
So if you're on the run, prior to this I was in my car lots and lots and lots throughout the course of the day. So I'd have to bring all my food basically from like 7 in the morning till 8 at night with me and make sure that I had enough stuff. So I did that, and that doesn't really take that much effort. But one of the things that I like to use was casein protein the day after intense resistance training. So you want that slow release. So you're hitting it hard right after you're finished deadlifting, squatting, pressing, whatever. But then you're using that the next day so you can stay in an anabolic state. So what we want to do is think about always keeping our body in an anabolic or muscle building state. What we don't want to do is go into a catabolic or muscle consuming state. So this would be kind of the underscore of this is like, don't let yourself be hungry. If you notice, like, we lift really heavy weights and the next day you're like starving, but you don't eat anything, well, you are at that moment catabolic. So you want to stay anabolic. Casein protein can be a nice way to do that, especially if you're moving through life and you're moving and grooving and trying to get things done.
Mm-hmm. Getting into collagen protein, so for the whey and the casein, they are what we would call complete proteins. So they have all 9 essential amino acids in there, including 3 of those being those branch chains that we talked about earlier. one of which being leucine, which is very well studied, but also shown to promote the most muscle growth. So when we get into collagen, we are finding that we are still from an animal-based product, mainly from our skin, bones, cartilage of that animal. However, it is incomplete, lacking a few of those essential amino acids, but more specifically that leucine. So we're missing that really big component there. So again, ranking in terms of efficacy and where I would recommend someone to do, collagen falls a little bit lower in that list for that reason. The cool part about collagen is, and I didn't label it the Becky of proteins, because we often will take that because we want our skin, hair, and nails to get better, because that's the link that we're thinking of there. So it's the Becky of protein. I thought it was good. What's cool about? Thank you. What's cool about the collagen protein is that it is stable at a higher heat as opposed to the other two, which will do what we call denaturing or breaking down under heat. So collagen is really nice for that because we can mix it into things like teas and soups and pasta sauces, whatever it is, to increase the protein content of that meal, but still maintain the molecule, which is kind of neat.
It's nice too if you find yourself. So I think Ryan, I kind of border on this, where you consume a not insignificant amount of whey protein, and you're wanting to hit your numbers, so to speak. Collagen can be nice, assuming you are consuming a balanced diet otherwise, because you're filling in those missing amino acids. So as long as you're getting them in around the same time, it's going to have the effect as if you got them all at once. It's not an all or nothing thing. It's a little more of a Venn diagram.
And then lastly, with the plant proteins, these are kind of reserved for those who are avoiding animal products or have an intolerance to soy, like yours truly, if you prefer soy over, dairy, thank you. One of those two. But yeah, so your hippie uncle or an environmentally conscious college roommate, this is what you would want to choose these for. So those the best that we are going to want to choose in this category would be a soy or a pea protein, because uniquely in the plant world, these are still considered complete. So these can be really good benefits to you if you're one of those people that fall in that category. In comparison to whey, just slightly lower in total amino acid content. So it still is going to contain some of those, but just not as potent as the whey product. So these are kind of the four that you're going to want to look for if you are looking to kind of add one of these into your mix. All right. So we're getting into fish oil. Hey, is anyone watching Blue Planet? Anyone? On Netflix? Yeah? Okay. This fish is insane. It can change into a female. A female can change into a male fish if it had to, once it gets to critical mass, meaning it gets big enough. So, hey Liz, goals, right?
What will they think of next?
What will they think of next?
I have literally no idea.
I just thought that was fascinating. That was the first thing I thought of when I was talking about fish oil.
When he was like looking at me, I was just going to say something.
Well, it's because my gaze is naturally going in this direction. So fish oil, we talk about that a lot, and mainly because our diet is very heavy in a different type of fatty acid, omega-6. So we get that a lot in the diet here in America. And basically, we are at a crazy ratio of 20-1 of omega-6 to omega-3 consumption. So what this is really doing is it is creating a pro-inflammatory state within our bodies. So what that means is that our body is producing these signaling molecules to tell our immune system something is going on. And we have to start producing all of these different mediating response hormones to balance and try and attack what is going on. And basically, our body's attacking itself because we're just eating these foods. So what we're trying to do with fish oil, not only from a anti-inflammatory piece, but also a muscle recovery piece when we have a very intense exercise. So we can find that it can aid in basically reducing muscle damage and enhancing recovery over time. With this, in terms of brands and recommendations on how to incorporate this into your nutrition, daily, if we can, given that our day-to-day diets are so low in this product, would be beneficial. And then, again, getting back to that label reading piece, if we can, we have to ensure that it's a good quality product where the EPA, which is a omega-3, to DHA ratio is 2-1. So that SFH fish oil that we sell out front is actually a really, really solid product where it has that exact breakdown and it has some added vitamin D. It comes from a really good source of fish up in near Alaska, I believe. So this can be a really powerful piece to add in if you are one that has really achy joints. You find that you don't eat much seafood in your diet, or those plant sources that have really high omega-3s like walnuts and flax. So it can be a really powerful piece for you as well. And you can see on the right side there, if you can, that we do have to consume a really large amount of seafood on a day-to-day basis to try and hit this number here. So that's really where the benefit of the supplementation comes into play. So for example, 2.5 ounces of salmon only contains about 1.5 grams of that fish oil that we're looking to take in, whereas the supplement, you can just do it in one quick teaspoon pump and you meet your goal in that right there.
I think it's just a no-brainer in terms of cost and ease. I like to do it right before bed. It takes 2 seconds. Mine tastes like lemons. See, it doesn't, you can get the kind if you really want to go hardcore, and I've accidentally bought the kind that's unflavored. And you just kind of soldier through it. But for the most part, they do a really nice job of masking that stuff so it doesn't taste like you're drinking fish. But in terms of something that's easy, that's relatively cost-effective, and that has well-studied, proven benefit, it's an absolute no-brainer. And even beyond performance, if you're thinking about your long-term health and wellness, even more of a no-brainer.
Yeah, a lot of links now being seen to the high omega-6 consumption in our diets and chronic disease. But it's really fascinating when you start to look at overall consumption in the last 100 years as we went through the Industrial Revolution and we started to make readily available processed foods, how the numbers just skyrocket, like right around the 1960s and 1970s. Mainly now in soybean oil, which if you guys have looked at a food label anytime recently, is almost in everything, which is wild. And we're on average consuming about 24 pounds per person per year. So really high amount of omega-6 we're taking in.